thought I would come on and talk about Helene Hatzel's SPEC method because she passed away 14 years ago on October 30th, and I did a video and it got a lot of views, and then a lot of people had questions about her famous SPEC method, which is select it, project it, expect it, collect it. Well, it's also dinner time, so I thought, let's make some scalloped potatoes while I chat. This is a recipe that I got from my mom. It was my favorite dinner thing when I was a kid. And I'm just buttering the dish. And yeah, scalloped potatoes, the best. Anyway, this dish I thrifted, which I love. It used to have a lid, but somehow I chipped the lid. So I had to throw that away. But the bottom is just the right size for scalloped potatoes. So my grandmother used to make these, but she didn't mix anything. She would just layer the potatoes, sprinkle the flour, pour a little milk, and then she would just keep layering with potatoes and onions. And somehow hers was always good. I have no idea how she does that. I do the proper bechamel sauce. Anyway, yeah, funny now that I'm thinking about cooking, I don't know if Helene ever cooked this kind of stuff. I know she made, like in one of her books, and I've tried to find the recipe, but I haven't been able to find it anywhere on the internet. Helene talked about making a tuna casserole with cashews and potato chips. I don't know. I looked. I haven't been able to find anything. Maybe it's better it's been lost to the archives, or maybe it's something she made up. I don't know. Anyway, we buttered the dish a little bit, and now we're going to slice potatoes and onions, and then I'll make the sauce. In the meantime, we're going to talk about SPEC. So, SPEC sounds familiar to a lot of people because her SPEC method is based on, Helene loved wordplay. Oh my gosh, these potatoes are past their prime. So these are all going away. Yeah, I'll just recycle them right here. I'll start a paper for recycling. We have a composter. Anyway, Helene was famous for winning all the prizes she did, but she didn't actually use her SPEC method. I did a video on YouTube called No SPEC. So you might want to go and look at it. But it just shows the history of how she evolved her system and how she won and why she created the SPEC method and how she evolved it. But the processes are all the same. So her original system was, yeah, this is done too. Never entertain doubts. No, sorry, select a goal. It's always select a goal, because if you don't know what you want, how do you know you're going to get it? It's really simple. It's like every single manifestation method starts with SPEC, right? Starts with S. You know, you get the ask, believe, receive. Well, what do you do with the first part? You ask. Well, you have to be specific when you ask, because if you don't know, what are you going to do? Now, I heard a teacher decades ago. I've been studying metaphysics and manifestation since I was 18. So, and I don't know who the teacher is. I can't give them credit for this one. But they gave the analogy of being in a restaurant. And imagine you're in a restaurant, you look over the menu and you're like, oh, I'll have so the waiter comes, takes your order, you go, yeah, I'll have the steak and the side Caesar and a glass of wine, whatever, Diet Coke, whatever. Now, that's a very specific request. And then you give it to the waiter and he goes off and that gets passed to the kitchen. And then your order is created, right? Your dinner's made, and while you wait, you sit with your friends and you chit-chat and you enjoy each other's company. So you're just enjoying the time. And then, what do you know? Your dinner arrives. That's manifesting, right? That's how manifesting works. You ask for a specific goal. You let go attachment to outcome. You didn't say what kind of plate it had to be on. You didn't say that the steak had to be on the left side of the plate or the right side of the plate. You didn't say you needed exactly, 40 fries, whatever. You just ordered the steak It said what it came with. You didn't know if it was 5 broccoli spears or 10, but you had faith that it was going to be good. And you just let it go, and then you enjoyed your time with your friend, assuming you're out, you're not by yourself. But even if you're by yourself, you could just be enjoying a book or scrolling on your phone or whatever while you're waiting for your dinner. And then it arrives, and you enjoy your dinner. But what we do as messy humans, we'll be like, oh, okay, well, can you make sure the steak is like this? And it has to be on a blue plate. And it has to be, exactly 7 inches by 3 inches by ½ inch. And it has to be, we put all these conditions on things that we ask for when we're manifesting. We also, maybe would follow the waiter back to the kitchen to just check on the chef to make sure they're doing it right. And how come it isn't here yet? And why isn't he cooking it faster? And all these other things. Or worse, the waiter would go to the kitchen. You'd see him serving another table. You call him over. You go, yeah, cancel the steak. I want to have the pasta. Then he goes back, changes your order. You see him in the thing. Yeah, go cancel the pasta. I want the steak again. But this time, I want the steak with the potato, not with the salad. And back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That's the other thing people do. They keep changing their mind. They're waffly. Well, if you're waffly, nothing's ever going to manifest that way. It's just going to, the idea is that we're supposed to set a goal, set our sights on it, let go of attachment to outcome, and just let the universe do its thing. But us messy humans don't like to wait. So the SPEC method, that's why Helene's first system had selected as a goal, and that's why in her SPEC method, select it is basically the same. It's always the first step, because how are you going to get it if you don't know what it is? And the same with directions, right? If you don't know where you want to go, how do you know you get there? It's kind of thing, right? You can drive around aimlessly in life and get somewhere interesting and see some interesting things, but you might never know you arrived. So that's why Helene did that. She also loved her wordplay. Like if you read her books, you'll see she loved wordplay. That was like one of her favorite things to do, is wordplay. So that's why select it is so important. You have to be specific. She almost could have used specific there too, because it's also an S. Specify it, right? Not just select it, but specify. Be specific. So that's the S in select it. Now, if you have trouble with what you want, like, well, I want a new job. Well, what kind of new job? Right? I gave this example in the YouTube video that I did. It's one of my favorite stories. It's from Jack Canfield. He was teaching a course on manifesting or goal setting, or I don't know. He gave this example on a tape set. Yes, that's how old I am. And on the tape, he said, there was one person in the class that wanted to make more money. Because they were going around, what are your goals? Right? One guy's like, I want more money. Jack reaches into his pocket, chucks him a quarter. Says, there you go, there's more money. The guy says, I want more money than that. Jack said, you have to be specific. So, if you're not specific, how do you know? So that's why the S is the first important step. If you're going on a road trip, if you don't know what the destination is, you can drive around aimlessly for a heck of a long time. So you got to select something for you to work towards, something that your heart desires. And it doesn't have to be anything material either. It could be a hobby or a pursuit. I teach people, I'm also the contest queen, and I teach people how to win sweepstakes. That's a great way to get stuff for free and do things for free the problem is most of the stuff I won this year, there was not a lot of unboxings per se, but videos of us at events, because we just went to things. You know, I've won, like, last month I won 3 sets of tickets to different plays and shows. Actually, no, 4. Because tomorrow we're going to see 5440. So we saw a show called Billboard 2000. We saw a play called The Master Plan. We're going tomorrow night to 5440, and the week after we're going to see Rapunzel. It's a panto, which is like a British Christmas style theater. And it's a comedy. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's what, so yeah, I've won tickets to 4 things in the last month. It's great. So I haven't won as many things, but I like to win experiences. I enter a lot of those. Anyway, so that's actually how I came to know Helene, because she wrote the Name It, Claim It game. It's like a law of attraction book disguised as a sweepstakes book, but because I teach others how to win sweepstakes, I think one of the reasons she asked me to maintain her legacy is because I understood the hobby, and I wrote books on it. So I would have the skills that were required to keep up people, you know, knowing about her and learning about her and things like that. So then the next one is Project It. Now, it took me a while to figure this out, because when she writes about it in the book, it almost sounds like Project It and Expect It are the same. But over time, I've come to realize they're not. So Project It is something you visualize with your mind, right? You hear the expression, your mind's eye. So you're going to project it with your eye, and your mind, rather, your mind's eye. And you're going to see it. Now, some people have aphasia and can't see things like that. So I recommend journaling, vision boards, because the key is actually the E part of SPEC. So if you can't see it, you can still envision it in other ways and still get to where you want to go. Right? Select, project, expect, collect. Yep. And so that's where I recommend people envision it. Now, this is where people think she used the Silva method to come up with this. Now, her first method was set a goal, never entertain doubts, which is basically expect it. And you can con yourself into anything, which is kind of like a P, because you're just pretending that it exists, like you're in the delulu of already having something that you don't already have, that kind of thing. You're already living in the end result. That's kind of the you can con yourself into anything part. So Helene, that was her first method, and that's how she won her house and everything. A lot of people think she should give Jose credit for all the things she won, but she actually didn't meet Jose Silva till after she moved into the house, because she won the house in 1965, but it had to be custom built, and so they didn't move in till 1966. And she met him several months after they moved into the house. And it was that New Year's is when she had the accident and smashed her face and used his stop the bleeding technique to save her own life. So that's how that came about. So that was 1966. She met him, but she'd already won the house. So she didn't use any of his methods to win. Now, the reason I think she used some of his ideas to do Select It or SPEC is because the Project It is very similar to the hollow viewing technique and the mirror of the mind technique in the Silva method. Okay? Well, it's one slippery potato. I'm going to be careful here. I don't want to cut my finger. So if you've ever studied the Silva method, which I highly recommend, I'm actually going to take the Silva Mind Mastery course next weekend in Connecticut with Ken Cassia. Or is it Cassia? You know, I got to ask him how he pronounces his name, because I don't think I've ever actually said it properly, which is embarrassing. He actually was the youngest person certified by Jose Silva himself in 1971. He was 19 years old, and he's been teaching the Silva method ever since. So I'm on track to become a Silva instructor. I don't think I'm going to be teaching it the way Ken does, but I have books on the Silva method that I'm going to be reprinting. And because I talk a lot about Helene, she worked with Jose Silva after she met him. And then I found out it was 6 years. I think it's crazy, her anecdote with Joseph Murphy and how he did the same thing with his house. I know, right? It was 2 different methods, but the same kind of idea. But that's the thing, right? He was living in the end result. And then I did a video, if you go watch it, about no doubt, because, oh my God, I doubted and I lost out. Anyway, yeah, I wasn't expecting. That's okay. That's how you learn, right? You do something, you go, oh yeah, I'm not doing that again. Anyway, the project it is with your mind, so you think about it, and you only do that once. This is what confuses a lot of people. You have to really read her work to figure out that what she did was she projected it once, and then she expected multiple times. She would give it energy. So E could actually just be energize it, right? Like it could be, instead of select it, project it, expect it, collect it, it could be specify it, picture it, energize it, collect it. I don't know. I'd have to come up with something else for C. Claim it, right? It could be those words. But the idea is that you just picture what you want once. So if you take the Silva method and you learn the mirror of the mind technique, you only do the visioning once. But you energize it like whenever you feel it. So she would do that. So when she had sweepstakes goals, there's a part. Do you ever feel like she's still around in another dimension? Yes and no. So I am not psychic in that way. I'm very business psychic. Like if you told me, hey, I need to do some marketing, I come up with ideas like in a hot second. But if you tell me, you know, is Aunt Ruby with me? I have no idea. I've never had a dream with Helene, nothing. I don't do any of that stuff. Okay, now we got to go and make the sauce. So, so I've never seen her, but I've had other people come to me and say, oh, she's very funny. Like I was talking to my one girlfriend who is highly intuitive about her, and she said, this is when I just had bought the rights to her books, and I hadn't even started yet, and I was still working on one of mine, and I was contemplating what I was going to do. And I still haven't finished mine. It's ridiculous. I'm almost finished the Spanish edition of hers 3rd book. So I'll have 3 in Spanish. I'm working on the 4th Audible. So by the end of next summer, we should have all 4 of her books in English, Kindle and paperback, Kobo, so basically ebooks and paper print. And then I'll have all audibles, and I should have all translations into Spanish. That'll be all 4 of her books. And I'm working on Tag Powell's. That'll be in the spring. But I have to finish my book, Prizes. Anyway, I was contemplating this, and apparently Helene had something to say. My girlfriend said all she heard... Oh, are you going to tell me I don't have butter up here? I do not have butter up here. Guess we're going to the basement. Helene said, mine first. And I'm like, well, I guess we're going to do her books first. There you go, right? So, yeah, I have a secondary fridge. Thank the goodness. And, ooh, this is our last butter. I guess we're buying more butter. So I've heard, and then also, if you go watch the videos with Sarah Jordan, I have 2 of them. One we did for introducing Sarah to everybody, because she messaged me out of the blue one day and goes, Helene Hansel contacted me. I'm like, yeah, that's not a surprise. And she said, I want to do her blueprints, like the modern version. And I said, that's a good idea, because no one can do it. And we're not doing it the way Helene did, because Helene cut stuff out of magazines, and you have to go watch my blueprint videos. They're kind of funny. So, what do we got here? I need a 1/4 cup of butter. I just do a 1/4 cup of butter, a 1/4 cup of flour, and 2 cups of milk, and then we pour it over. And oh, I guess I better empty the oven. Does anyone else keep all their baking pans in the oven because there's no other space? Okay, here we go. That's what we're gonna do. Now I gotta get the flour. The flour, we have, our kitchen is so small that I have an old-fashioned Hoosier, and I actually keep my flour in the Hoosier. No, it's not in the flour bin. The flour bin is broken, damn it. But it was a good deal on the Hoosier. Anyway, so then Sarah started redoing. So I sent her copies of what Helene used to do, and she modernized it. So you can still buy blueprints. But I know Helene is helping me with the books and stuff. And I fix things. Like I find mistakes that she made and stuff that I didn't notice until I started doing the audibles. So I'm making all the corrections. And I've had to call her family a few times and go, hey, I found this problem. What do you think? And they're like, well, you can just change it to what you think is the right answer, because she made a mistake and we don't have any other sources. So that's fine. So for example, in one book, why am I only finding 1/2 cups? I need a 1/4 cup. No, that's a 1/3. Where have all my tiny measuring cups gone? Here we go. So yeah, Helene is funny. I can only imagine. Anyway, so I'm fixing all of her mistakes, and every time I fix one, I hear, or I'll fumble something up, or I'll get frustrated because when I'm doing the Audible book, she uses the longest freaking run-on sentences, and I sometimes run out of air, and I swear at her, and the producer goes, she's gonna smack you in the back of the head. Anyway, did I miss any other questions? No. Anyway, so projected is basically what you see in your head, right? Like what you can visualize or write about. Like what do you want? What goal do you want? Right? And then you're going to picture that. So she uses the example in her videos. If you wanted a necklace, you see yourself with the necklace on and stuff like that. Expected is already feeling. So projected is like here, and expected is like here. And this is where it gets, I started to figure stuff out. It's very similar to the Silva method, because in the Silva method, you go into alpha and you create, and then you come into beta and take inspired action. Heart and head. Project it, expect it. Robert Ohotto talks about working, through, I can't even think of what I'm talking about, what he says, but basically you can't get through it with the mind. You have to drop into the cosmic heart. Again, head and heart. So everything ties into this. And you'll see a lot of other teachers teach this too. I need to do a video on how many big names have actually taken the Silva method. You'd be amazed. Okay, so now I'm making like a roux, which I think I've made the burner too hot, so we're going to turn it down. You don't want to burn the flour, or brown it. You just want to get it cooked with the butter. See, I'm chatting and I'm not paying attention. Do you recommend the silver one? You know what? I have the one by Mind Valley, and it's different. So I do recommend it, but I also recommend you do the other one. I know, that sounds counterintuitive, right? Here's why. So you also have to look, is there a Helen Hadsel course out there? Yeah, I teach maneuvers for witchcraft. Is there a Helene Hadsel course out there? I read an author saying he took a course on her. That's weird. I'm the only one that teaches maneuvers for witchcraft. Someone else is teaching Helene Hadsel's stuff? Huh. That's interesting. I'd love to know who. I do know that there's a fella in Spanish, but he's teaching the law of attraction. Oh, maybe your course. Anyway, oh God, I'm talking. Did I do 1 or 2 cups of milk? Oh, that's not a lot of milk. It had to only be 1 cup. See what happens? I'm talking. I'm not paying attention. Okay, so, okay, now I got to turn it back up because this won't cook if I don't warm it properly. In the meantime, I should get the cheese out of the fridge. I like putting cheese on top of ours. I think it makes it taste really good. What do we got? Oh, let's use the one that's already open. Not open a new one. So, oh, is that George? No. So, anyway, so back to the Silva method. So Vishen is actually a Silva instructor. So this is why I need to do a video on how many people took the Silva method and are now teaching the Silva method or other things. Vishen Lakhani is a certified Silva instructor. That's actually one of the reasons he met Bert Goldman, and Bert's program Quantum Jumping is on Mind Valley. I actually talked to the Goldmans about their dad, and yeah, they licensed his program to Vishen, to Mind Valley. So they still own it, but they're letting him teach it. Then he licensed from the Silvas the Ultramind system that Jose developed in the last part of his life. Now, it's a good course. I've taken it. I do like it. However, how I learn better in a classroom because I have like ADD. I'm all over the place. And this way, when I'm in a classroom setting, what happened to our grater? Oh, goodness. Okay, maybe somebody put it on the other shelf. No. Oh, here it is. Ah, great. Ah. Yeah, I'm good with the dad jokes. I do better in person because there's no distractions. I'm focused. The teacher's there. There's slides. I've got a notepad. My phone's off. You know, I learn much better. Plus, the group meditations are off the chart. Like, I don't know about you, but for me, my meditations are so much deeper when I'm in a classroom setting, because your energy, because your auric field goes out and your magnetic field is outside of you. Now you're in a classroom with 50 other people. Your energies are all on top of each other and you're all meditating. So it's much better when you're all meditating together in that group setting. My meditations are so much, they're deeper, they feel, that's for me. So I do like the Mind Valley course, but I personally prefer the in-person because I got more out of it. That said, I was doing a live stream at one point. Someone asked the same question, and somebody in the chat said they just read the book and they mastered it. And I'm like, great. I can't do that. That's not how I learn. And that's kind of the point of everybody, of having all the different options, right? You have to learn the way you learn. So if you're interested in even just seeing what it's about, if you go to my website, Words for Winning, right on the homepage, right on the homepage is a link to a free Silva training. Now go and sign up for, the Stephen Dobosh, who's the Canadian, the main Canadian Silva instructor. He's in Toronto. There's also a woman, Danielle, in Quebec doing it. She's the only one doing French. So if you want it in French, you have to take it from her. But I don't have her link on my website. She's on the Silva International website. I should add her link. Anyway, I only have Ken and Steven, because Steven's the main guy in Canada. And then Ken is the main guy in the US, even though there's other Silva instructors in the US currently doing it. Ken doesn't do, so Steven every 2 weeks approximately on a Monday night does a live stream introductory class on Zoom for free. And it's similar to what Helene Hadsel took when she met Jose, because she went to an introductory class and then signed up for the course on the weekend. This is exactly like it's on Zoom, so it's not exactly like it, modernized, like what Helene did to learn about the Silva method. So he talks about what the Silva method is, how it came about. You do a 7-minute meditation. He walks you through some different examples, gives you a sense of what the program's about, and then you do an 18-minute meditation, and it's free. So the whole thing's like 90 minutes. So you can take that, and some people come and go, like to really see what it's about. So you can even attend his classes more than once. And then Ken, who doesn't do it, but he's been teaching the Silva method for 54 years. And the stories he told when I took it, I'm so excited to go back. Oven's at temp. So, hold on, let's get this so we can pour this on the potatoes. We have a priority here. We got to eat dinner. And it's already 5:18, and this has to cook for like an hour and 15 minutes. So, I'm already behind. But I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone here. Oh, I need a spatula. This is one of my favorite crazy spatulas. Okay. And so you can go. Now, Ken, I recommend people sign up for his newsletter because, again, all these things are free, right? They're always sending out information, examples. Ken does great videos. He has a YouTube channel. He's on TikTok. He's on Instagram. I follow him everywhere. And he just did one on gratitude for Thanksgiving. A little video. And I like he's got such a gentle voice and a gentle demeanor about him. He's lovely. So I highly recommend you check him out. Now sign up for his newsletter. And he does online videos every once in a while, but not as often as Steven does. But get his newsletter and you can watch his videos. So I highly recommend you do both of those to get more of the Silva method information. Ken who? Okay, let me write this down. Let me see. How do I leave a comment again? Also, if you go to content, I wear too many crowns. If you go to wordsforwinning.com, right on the homepage, there's a link to, it says free introductory class. And then I have a little article about Helene and the Silva method. And at the bottom, I have all the links to both Stephen and to Ken. But let me see if I can put, if you Google, oh, here's where I comment. So it's Stephen Dobos, and let me do the other comment. This is what I mean. I need to pronounce his name I'm back. So I had a call from Robert Ohotto, and it's funny because we were just talking about astrologers. There are no coincidences. I was here talking about Helene Hatzel and her SPEC method: select it, project it, expect it, collect it. And then we were discussing, we kind of went on all these tangents. And anyway, I got called. I work with Robert Ohotto. Oops, I gotta shut the timer off. I was making scalloped potatoes while I was talking the first time, and now I'm gonna do the pork chops. So I'm gonna throw them in the oven because I think the scalloped potatoes could use more time. So I don't know if you guys do this, but I do it with chicken, and it's also really good on pork. Mayonnaise. You put mayonnaise in a bowl, and then you coat whatever you're eating, and it keeps it super juicy. It's really great in the summer if you're barbecuing and you're doing kebabs too. So get a bowl, a little bit of mayo. I just throw everything in the bowl. I'm not really a schmancy cook that way. Where's my spatula? We got a spatula. It's really easy. Anyway, I was talking about the SPEC method, and we talked about select it. We did project it. We were talking about expect it, and we hadn't finished really. And of course we didn't talk about collect it. And I was talking about some of my fumbles where I fumbled the ball and didn't win that trip to Barbados because I didn't expect it. I had doubt, which is one of Helene's techniques, is have no doubt. I know, right? I'm just going to add a little bit of Parmesan to this. So this is easy. Oh, this is the messy part. We vac packed these, so I could put them in the air fryer, but the oven's already going, so why not? Okay, and there's 4 of them, so we'll messy. So I just plunk them into the mayonnaise, get them coated, and then I add panko and Parmesan, a little Parmesan cheese. Throw that in here. I have aprons, and I've won aprons. You think I would wear them anyway? So someone was asking me about astrology, and I was explaining how I love astrology and how I think that things are great signposts for us and our tools to help us navigate this, crazy thing we call life, even though we are the creators of our own reality. That, a lot of times you don't go on a road trip without using Google Maps. So it just makes sense to have some, guidance along the way. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having a little bit of guidance along the way, just to make sure, everything's going how you think it should, and you know where you are and what you want to do and all that kind of good stuff. So I love this stuff. It's so good. And it makes everything so crispy. So basically I just mayonnaise the bowl, put the pork chops in. Now I'm going to throw in a little bit of cheese because I can. Cheese makes everything better, I swear. And then I just put them on the parchment paper, and I'm going to throw them in the oven with the scalloped potatoes. So that's how that goes. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy, as they say. So I'm just coating these all over, rolling them around. Ooh, one side got missed. That's not good. So, yeah, so you have to expect it. And that's the hardest part for most people, like I was saying at the end of the last video, because this is kind of a part 2. I am really good at manifesting, like thinking of something, letting it go, and having it manifest. I'm ridiculously good at that for the little things. You ask me about the big things, I struggle, which is kind of crazy because I teach this stuff, right? You think it would be easy for me. But some things I know, at some point, you know, the books will become bestsellers. I do know that. And also that once I finish publishing all the books that I have, or even before I'm finished, there will be more teachers that I'm going to be purchasing the rights to and teach. So right now I've got Tag and Judith Powell, and I've got Helene and all my books. But I know more teachers are coming that I'm supposed to revive, and that I'm supposed to teach. So I'm attempting to put them nicely on the pan, and I don't think I'm doing a good job. Oh well, that's okay. It'll all cook in the end, doesn't matter. Okay, so I'll put these in the oven. And then we'll sit and chat. I need another cup of tea. I need a cup of tea. Okay, so we'll put these in. I'll do 25 minutes. Ooh. Oh. Oh my God, that's hilarious. I always forget when I'm wearing my glasses. That happens. And I go to Trader Joe's. I'm using a Tetley tea tin, but I go to Trader Joe's and I get their Irish breakfast. So good. Since I'm going to the US to do a training next week with the Silva method, I'm going to be, now this is my favorite thing. It's a hot pot. It keeps water just below boiling at all times, so I can instantly make a cup of tea any time of day I want. Yeah, that's what this girl likes. Tea any time of day. Look at that. Cup of filled. It's fantastic. Highly recommend one. If you like tea or having instant coffee or anything like that. Keurigs are good. Like, we have a Keurig too. Of course I won it. Actually, I've won all the ones. I had a Tassimo, won that. Then had a big Keurig, won that. It's too big, so I thought, oh, I'll win a smaller one. I won a smaller one. Oh, so funny. So funny. Yeah, so there's things I don't buy. Anyway, we didn't get to the E and expect it for select it, expect it, project it, and collect it. And you know what? It's funny that people think collect it is the easiest one, but it's not always. Some people really struggle with it because, like, a lot of people can't even take a compliment. They can't even take a compliment. And if you can't even accept a compliment or help, you know, it was U.S. Thanksgiving yesterday. How many people were in the kitchen and someone said, well, can I help? And you go, no. You can't accept help, and then you wonder why stuff isn't manifesting. You're saying no. People are coming up. It always reminds me of that adage. You know, there's a fella, and the house is getting flooded, and he's sitting on the roof, and he's praying to God, please save me. And a guy comes by in a canoe, and he's like, come on, come on. We're going to take you to dry land. And he's like, no, God's going to save me. And, you know, then a rowboat comes along, and the guy's going along, and he's like, come get in the boat. We're taking people to dry land. He's like, no, God's going to save me. And meanwhile, the water's still rising. It's getting worse. And finally, you know, like a police boat comes by, and they're like, come, it's getting dangerous. Come, and we're going to save you. And he's like, no, it's okay. God's going to save me. And he drowns because the water took over the whole house. And he gets up to heaven, and he says to God, I thought you were going to save me. He goes, what are you talking about? I sent a canoe, I sent a rowboat, and I sent a police boat. Like, so if you're asking for help, and people come and say, can I help? Or do you want me to do this for you? And you go, no. How are you going to say yes to the manifestation? The love of your life can knock on the door. You won't answer it. Right? So you have to pay attention to that when you're doing that. Anyway, I just wanted to wrap up my chat. So I'm gonna, when I post this to YouTube, I'm gonna stitch part 1 and part 2 together. Because tonight I'm going to be working, Robert Ohado is going live, I think around 10 p.m. Eastern, and talking about Mercury retrograde. Love me some Robert Ohado and his astrological insights. So go check him out. His book, Transforming Fate into Destiny, changed my life. So I highly recommend, I recommend that book to everybody. And it's kind of a sleeper. Most people haven't heard of him, and most people haven't read his book. And it is amazing, amazing. So I highly recommend that. And I will talk to you later. Why is this not ending? This is me.